From the 1011 Now streaming studio, this is 1011's Morning Pulse.
Sponsored by Murray Roofing.
Good morning. This is Craig Allison live with your Morning Pulse for Tuesday, December 16th. This morning, we're going to start off below freezing, and then we're going to pick up into some warmer temperatures as we head towards the afternoon. So if you're thinking about getting dressed right now, be sure to layer up so you have something to shed as we get further into the day. Now, before we get into our news headlines, we're trying out new stuff here on the live version of Morning Pulse this morning. We're going to rehash our question of the day in case you missed it this morning on 1011 this morning. Question was, people who do this once a month have less stress in their lives. What is it? Answer was go to the movies. Definitely missed out on that one with Brandon Rector this morning. But if you want to participate, be sure to head over to the 1011 Now Facebook, and there you can participate with your own comments. Now, heading over into our headlines this morning, starting off with international news. The Australian government says the two suspects of the Bondi Beach shooting likely have ties to ISIS. What we know so far is that the pair traveled to the area in the Philippines last month known for extremism and insurgent groups. It's where officials believe the father and son received military-style training, and there was also homemade ISIS flags and explosives in a vehicle belonging to one of the suspects. 15 people, unfortunately, died, and among them was a 10-year-old girl who was with her friends and family, and an 87-year-old Holocaust survivor who officials say died shielding his wife from the bullets. Be sure to stick with us at 1011 Now as more updates come in on this really tragic story from Australia. Now moving over to the local headlines this morning, Omaha Senator Michaela Cavanaugh recently saying she was denied a visit to the McCook ICE detention facility twice last month. She and others say Nebraska state law grants them the right to tour these facilities. But yesterday, the facility opened its doors to every Nebraska lawmaker. 5 senators attending the tour, all describing the facility as clean and well run. One main question the senators discussed with staff was where those detainees come from and why they're being held. They were told the center is staffed solely by state employees and the responsibility doesn't go beyond housing the detainees. Those lawmakers estimating up to 150 detainees were present, which is under the current capacity of 200. Some senators, including Kavanaugh, turning down the tour. Others like Megan Hunt, Danielle Conrad, and Wendy DeBoer joining her in telling us they believe the tour doesn't accurately represent operations and still believe it is their right as legislatures under state law to visit the facility whenever they see fit. Excuse me. Your third story, Attorney General Mike Hildress has joined on to a 22-state lawsuit against Uber. States say the rideshare company used, quote, a variety of deceptive and unfair practices when it comes to selling Uber One subscription services, saying Uber misled consumers about how much they would have to save once they switched and then made it really hard to quit. One of those practices, the lawsuit says, Uber improperly using something called negative option marketing tactics when offering a free trial. This is when you are billed for not actively canceling a subscription. The trial is set to begin in February of 2027. Your fourth story this morning, we're going over to an update here in Lancaster County. Opponents to a 2,400-acre solar farm in Lancaster County, just east of Hallam, are in appeals court this week, hoping to undo the unanimous approval by the County Board of Commissioners back in January. The Panama Energy Center is set to be the state's largest solar farm. Developer Next Era Energy Resources saying it could bring up to $42 million to Lancaster County over its 30-year lifespan, plus more than 200 jobs during construction. Opponents cited concerns about property values, increased traffic, and disruptions to the area's rural character. If the appeal is unsuccessful, Next Era Energy says the farm could be operational by 2028. Now over to sports news in case you missed it. A headline that has football fans across the nation talking. Multiple sources reporting Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola is taking his talents elsewhere and entering the transfer portal. Raiola briefly made a post to social media yesterday afternoon confirming the initial ESPN report, but that post was then taken down. He has spent the last 2 years as the Husker starting QB, leading Nebraska to 2 straight bowl appearances. And he set a school record this past season with a completion percentage of over 72% before a broken fibula cut his year short. Then wrapping things up with your final story this morning, juniors in the Bryan College of Health Sciences focus group at Lincoln Northwest took part in CPR certifications yesterday during class. One of the most important skills to have is knowing how to save a life with CPR. These juniors were completing CPR certification as part of their focus program class. The students received the CPR course free with their class, and the certification is good for 2 years.
If we have just even one more CPR certified individual out in our community, that strengthens our community immensely, right? So whether they have their CNA and they're working in a healthcare facility or they're a bystander able to help out in a real emergency, that strengthens our community.
Students also recently took their certified nursing assistant exams, and with a nursing shortage, instructors believe having these courses in high school is important to getting students interested and started early on pursuing their post-high school medical education. Well, that's going to be your morning pulse for this Tuesday morning, and we'll wrap things up with a look at your 7-day forecast. Be sure to tune in again to Morning Pulse every morning at 8 a.m. We're going to try this out live, but here is your 7-day forecast. Again, a cold start followed by a warm-up this afternoon, so layer up.
You've been listening to 1011's Morning Pulse. Watch, listen, stream on the 1011 Now app, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sponsored by Murray Roofing.